Hi, Siri. I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning. It's a live edition. It's PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I want to give a shout out to one of our new sponsors, CertaPro Painters of Gainesville, the area's leader in painting excellence and proud partner of the Florida Gators, offering professional painting service for homes and businesses, plus cabinet refinishing and carpentry repairs. Visit CertaPro.com for a free estimate. If you missed it, Danny Hurley is staying with the Yukon Huskies. The Georgia Bulldogs get hammered at home. I watched some of that game. It was just a home run derby for both teams. The bats and the balls are juiced this year. I'm convinced. Stanley Cup, as Barone 71 says, how about his Panthers? 2 wins away from bringing the cup to South Florida. On that, we're going to go to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, and we got our man, Buddy Martin. Good morning, buddy. How you doing?
Good morning, Shane. How do I look? I have the crow on my face this morning.
Are you ready to battle if people start giving you crap about the Mighty Gators?
Well, obviously, you haven't read my column this morning. I was going to give you the pleasure of, where I conceded that I made a mistake in saying they were not elite from the standpoint of playing elite, and they are playing elite. And I complimented them this morning and said that, but who saw it? Who saw it coming? Not many people, both the softball team and the baseball team. And I made a call. I'd make the same call again, but I congratulate them. And I'm kind of glad. I don't mind the taste of crow. It was one of most wonderful weeks for a Gator fan anywhere. We talked about it last night, Shane. I mean, you talk about 9 days of glory. It's my column called The Roller Coaster Ride. And it was just incredible from Friday on. It was just remarkable. All Gator fans, especially people like you and Shane and different people, as I said, what happened was it warmed the cockles of the Gator Nation faithful, and that's exactly what it is. Old literary term. Made them feel all warm and fuzzy. And I tell you, Gator fans, if you didn't enjoy this, then you need to go find another team because it was a magnificent run. I tweeted out and wrote that it was exhilarating but exhausting, Shane. It was exhausting. A game at 5 hours and how many minutes it went on? And we talked to Scott Carter on my show last night, and man, oh man, it was spectacular. And you called it one of the greatest baseball games you've ever seen. I've said, you know what? I'm thinking maybe they ought to have an SEC baseball network. Start around the tournament time and have it because you can't find the games when there's weather. It bounces on ESPN like a ping pong ball from one to the other to this. Do I even have this channel? How do I get it? I finally decided ESPN Plus was the way to go. But yes, it was a wonderful, wonderful situation. Congratulations to Sully. I'm really happy for him. And you said last night, Shane, you're right. You said it was lost on us. This is his 9th straight Super Regional. Ninth overall. Amazing.
Yeah, I think it's been 9 out of the last 14 years to Omaha.
Yeah.
Andy says on Facebook Live, buddy, you have egg on your face, not crow. You eat crow.
And obviously, Andy, you've never heard the term eating crow. That's what I'm doing. I'm eating crow, not egg. I'm eating crow. I've eaten it. I've enjoyed eating it, and I'm glad to eat it. And I eat it every year if that's what it meant. But just like when some people call 8 or 9 wins on the football team and it didn't happen, you're wrong. You make a projection, you make a guess, take a shot. At that time, as I said in my column, the softball team had lost 7 times, and they were having a rough April. But anyway, let's not go there. Let's celebrate. This is the time to celebrate, Shane. I feel good today. I have a new faith in humanity after some of the people I saw and things I saw this recent last 8 or 9 days, especially the last couple of days. And we got baseball this weekend. The Gators playing at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. They're in the World Series. And what's not to like, Shane?
We got a text here on the Titan Mar text line from 941. He says, QB, thanks for the unwavering support to Sully. Many of us agreed with you the entire year, while some forgot how great he is. Great to hear you compliment Tennessee's coach Vitalo. Glad to see that you agree as a Gator fan. It's okay that we give kudos to others when they deserve it. Saw a local message board that disagreed to complimenting Coach Vitalo. Hope they beat the Noles. Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, buddy, but
I did. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
yeah, I'd go play for that dude in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Love his just, I mean, he's got some cockiness to him, but what coach
All
doesn't?
right. You
Okay.
think Coach Spurrier didn't?
Yeah. But I thought his interview was tremendous. If you haven't seen it, go look at it. It's about a 6 minute deal after their game when they clinched to go to Omaha.
My
Another.
favorite statement was, "If you got your hand out, don't come here."
Mhm. This is from somebody in a 352 on the Titan More text line. It says, QB, can you have Buddy talk about our football team not being elite? Seemed to work for softball and baseball. Laugh out loud. Just kidding, buddy.
Pretty good. That's pretty good. I will, if I would help, I'll be glad to. Hey, listen, I'll be your sacrificial lamb. Come on, I can handle it. Been doing it for 60 years. Why would I stop now?
Yeah. Getting a lot of text and Facebook or YouTube messages about Dan Hurley. Why would he turn down 70 million? They look, if you put the taxes and all that, he's making good money in UConn. He's got a chance for a three-peat. I don't know if I'd want to mess with NBA deal. This is a text on the Titan More text line.
Wait. Let's not skip over that, and I'll come back to it. But there's a larger message here, which I think gives me faith in humanity again, is that the whole world is not run by just money. Okay, if it was a money decision, he'd take the 70 million and go out to LA. And the ego of coaching the Lakers, which has got to be impressive. I mean, if you got to be a quarterback for the New England Patriots under Belichick, that'd be pretty good. You'd like that. But he assessed the situation. I guess I don't know, but what I'm guessing based on what he said and what I'm reading is he went out to LA. He was entertained, wine and dine by Dr. Buss, and he decided it wasn't for him. I think he might want to coach in the NBA, but not right now. Obviously, his family's very happy in Connecticut. He likes it there, and money couldn't buy him. This is a new thing in this era of greed, Shane, where you just can't whip out your checkbook and say how much and buy anything you want to. I'm so glad that Dan Hurley, I'm a fan of his now. I was before as a basketball coach because he has got the right perspective. It's like the old saying, some people know the price of everything and the value of nothing. Dan Hurley knows the value of things.
Yeah. But I thought I saw somewhere on Twitter where they took his contract, what he was making per year if he were to take the LA deal compared to what he's making up in Connecticut. And there was only like $1 million and maybe $1.5 million off after taxes and living expenses and all that stuff. So, look, I don't know how anybody wants to deal with college sports, but he's got it rolling. And basketball is a little bit different because you can really make your basketball team extremely good by one or two portal transfers.
Quickly, yeah, you can.
Yeah. This is from somebody in the 904. Oh, this is Ponte Vedra Beach Bull Gator. He says yesterday, this is on the Titan Mar text line. Yesterday, Clay Travis had the guts to tell the truth. Quote, Caitlin Clark is being harassed because she is white and in their game. Quote. That whole thing's a mess. It is absolutely a mess.
All right. Clay Travis says a lot of things, but half of which I don't agree with. But if we can make it about race if you want to, I suppose there is some race in every decision, whether we know it or not. I don't know the reason. It seems to me, I thought Stephen A. Smith was very powerful yesterday. He ripped into the women's basketball program in the NWNBA, saying, "You've been wanting recognition, now you got it. Do you want it or not?" And you can make the case from a coaching standpoint why it's better for her maybe not to do it. I don't know, Shane. I kind of think you should have put her on there. That's my opinion. But I mean, I don't think it was totally about race. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, she's a good player, it seems like in the Olympics that I remember back, growing up, I don't really care too much for the Olympics now. I think it's kind of lost its luster a little bit, even though that's crazy to say. But they always had a college kid or that was still kind of like, I remember like Christian Leitner and those
Yeah.
type of guys were always on the dream team or whatever.
Right. The dream
She
team.
deserves to be on the team, whether people want to say it or not. I think she deserves it. But she's brought more notoriety to women's basketball.
Oh, my
She got
God.
on.
1,000
She has
times.
gotten all the teams. They got their charter flights now due to her. I
Yeah.
think it's just a lot of jealousy. So anyway,
I think it's
um,
all of that jealousy, a little bit of racism, and a little bit of logical. I mean, she's under tremendous pressure. Think about what she's been through, just what she's been through already. And that would be even more, but that's going to be her life and the spotlight.
31 Ember on YouTube brought about Quality Plumbing. This is kind of true, not just about sports. He says women don't like other women getting the spotlight, regardless of race.
Well, men don't like other men getting the spotlight either, by the way, just so you
Well,
know.
I think women are worse about it.
More competitive. I'll tell you something about women. They handle it better than men do. I was talking to Coach Spurrier about this just day before yesterday. Look at what we saw during the recent run here. Can you tell me the people who have made such an impression on us, the Gator athletes? We talked about Parker Valby last night. You call it, what did you call her? I forget now. You had all these things you were talking about. Parker Valby, how great she was. Skylar Wallace, my gosh, she was
Yeah.
tremendous. And they conducted us. I asked Coach Spurrier, why is that? He said, because they're not about the ego. They have a bond on that softball team that the men don't have usually, although I saw a bond pop up at the end of the baseball situation. But I mean, they are more competitive, yes, but they seem to bond better and they seem to handle it better. And that was straight from Coach Spurrier.
Yeah. Cameron on YouTube brought to you about Quality Plumbing says spent the entire weekend in Oxford, Mississippi for a friend's wedding. I'm sure you enjoyed it. Oxford's a great town. Talked to a lot of Ole Miss fans. They truly think they're going to play for an SEC title. Am I the only one that thinks that's crazy? They're highly ranked. They will not play for the SEC. They may make the playoffs, but they're not going to play for the SEC.
I agree. I think it'll be a 10 game, they'll win 10, maybe they'll even 11 games. We'll see. But if they're going to be fun to watch, they got a lot of talent. They did great in the portal. So there's a lot of those.
Which could be good, but it could be bad, buddy.
Could be both. When it gets down to the team bonding in the end, and we'll see how that works out. But I mean, I think you got to look at the Athens. Same guy's going to be back in it again.
All right. I got to pull this up. I don't know what's going on with Facebook Live here, but Andy posted. Why won't it come up? Let's see if I can get it to pull up.
While
We were
you're
talking
waiting,
about
while you're doing that, I'll just go. Go ahead and look. And I mentioned that you mentioned last night that Florida has three goats that you love. You think they'll never be anything body better, or at least the greatest in their sports and ever all time, all at the same time. Skylar Wallace, you said, Parker
Mhm.
Valby, and Jack Caglione. The three greatest members of their sports all at one time. What a incredible feeling that is. I threw in there, I said, a wild card. It's not Florida, but I'll throw in one more guy, Hurley, because I'm a fan of what he did. I think he had right motivation. He assessed the situation and what it was, knew his capabilities, and went back and said, no, thank you. Money will not buy me.
Yeah, I mean, they're the best that I've seen to this point. I mean, obviously, we all thought Brad Wilkerson and some of those others, Lauren Hager, Amanda Lorenz. I think she's the best that's played so far. But in 10 years from now or 5 years from now, somebody else may also come along and be better. Anyway, Andy posted it. It's gone away on my Facebook on my laptop. I can't pull it up on my phone. I don't know what the hell's going on with Facebook. But he was talking about Parker Valby's times and all her events. And
Right.
she's not even close to what the Olympic people run, which is crazy.
Well, she was only 2/100ths off the what they call
No, he's saying with the times that she ran this year to win her events,
right.
she would be coming in like 15th or 9th in the
Yeah,
Olympics.
but she still got it. It's transported out last night. She still has a chance to qualify.
All right, so here it is. Andy says Parker Valby would have place 15th in the 10K
Mm-hmm.
and 9th in the 5K if she posted her best times at the 2021 Olympics,
Okay.
which is hard to believe because she's pretty damn good.
Let's not
Uh,
forget those two distance races. Okay. She won them, both of them, and she was spectacular. She represents well, and maybe she'll get better because she's been getting better all along. She was injured. They thought she would never make a distance runner, and she did, and she's represented great. And she's going to make a lot of money in track.
Barone has a question for me here on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. How would I say the state of Mississippi is divided in terms of college football fan base? Example, Ole Miss 60%, Mississippi State 20, and the other 20. No, it's probably it's close to 50-50 in my opinion. There's a few Southern Miss folks out there and a bunch of, a few Jackson State, Mississippi Valleys, but I might just take the other ones out.
Are you serious? Are you serious? I would think it'd be about 65% Ole Miss.
No, dude, there's a lot of Mississippi State people, but buddy, I'm telling you, it may be 60% Ole Miss, 40% Mississippi State, but it's a small state, and you got three big universities there, two in the SEC. There's a ton of folks that go to Mississippi State now.
I know a lot of my friends. I went out there, and bottom line is that Mississippi State is not the state university. It's Ole Miss, right? I mean, it's the state university,
right? But it's not. This. Just listen to me, buddy. It's not like Florida State, Florida. Florida is the state university here, but it's different. Ole Miss is state. There's not a big difference. And here's Matt chiming in about Southern Miss. And Matt's from Mississippi. Maybe he can give me the breakdown. Hell, I ain't lived there in 20 something years, but I have people.
No,
I just know that there's a lot of Mississippi State people compared as well as Ole Miss.
Most of them are baseball fans. Oh my goodness gracious. Mississippi State program's got a long way to go, my friend.
Baseball?
No, football.
Well, yeah, but they were number one in America when Dan was there.
I know all about that. I understand. I can talk to you about the 6 SEC championships that Johnny Vault won back in the day too. So
look, I'm an Ole Miss guy. I have some ties to Mississippi State, but Ole Miss has been great in football under Lane. They're not going to win anything, though. I'm telling you right now, because he is so reckless when it comes to coaching decisions. And with all their portal transfers that have added, maybe I'm eating crow or egg on my face when the season
you're
ends.
saying they're not elite. I get you. I hear you. Ole Miss elite. Okay, I got it.
No. Well, buddy, you have to be again. Our definition of elite is totally different. All right, this is from Daryl. Says, "Good morning, guys. I watched the Tony Vitello press conference after Sunday's game. He was spot on about success." That's from Daryl. Thanks, Daryl. Yeah, it was great. Mark says here on the Titan MR text line, while I know this may be immaterial, I just want to applaud how business-like this Gator baseball team is when we hit a home run. Most schools, after a home run is hit, including FSU, do this club team huddle next to the batter's box where they all jump in the air and shout boom after the home run batter crosses the plate. However, our team, after a home run is hit, high fives each other and acts like they've been there before. Your thoughts? Very true. I think a lot of that comes from Sully. Just like Sully doesn't allow names on the back of the jerseys, he doesn't allow facial hair. Jack's hair's kind of gotten long because Sully kind of has that New York Yankees mentality. No facial hair, no long hair.
I don't think Sully's noticed Jack's hair.
Yeah, but Jack's hair is getting kind of long in the back.
But I'm just saying, no, it's not. If it was down to here, it wouldn't be too long for Sully. He talked about him yesterday. And in fact, I think it was Dooley's interview. Said, I love Cags. He's come a long way. Go down as one of the greatest players of all time. He says his freshman year, he planned to redshirt him. But he said he totally wasn't going to be here in 4 years and wanted his presence in the lineup. So he said, you got to sit with your parents and figure it out. Well, they figured it out and they played. He's played all the way through. And he was really a happy dude. I saw a little clip. I don't think it was on TV about how happy he was at the end of the game. Just him walking out of the dugout. Some guy caught him and he says, how's it feel, Cags? Obviously, he made Omaha fun. He made it right at the last. And he was so happy for Mike Robertson. He said, "Look at Mikey! Look at Mikey! Mikey did it." Here's a guy. What was he like? 0 for 6? What did Scott tell us last night? And he comes to the plate and not drives in a tying and winning runs. It was an amazing play. Amazing, made an amazing baseball game.
Yeah. Matt said, "Don't forget about the Fighting Okras." Yeah, Delta State. I bet the state of Mississippi has more colleges and junior colleges than the state of Florida.
You think?
It's going to be close.
Oh, that play
The state of Mississippi has way too many colleges and junior colleges for the size of their state. Yeah. Kanye Ron says on YouTube, brought to you by Quad, those Mississippi schools do college baseball really well. Tremendous. Yeah, there's nobody like them. Mississippi State, in my opinion, is the top dog when it comes to baseball, atmosphere, stadium, and I'd put Ole Miss in the top 2 or 3 in America as well. Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. We got Buddy Martin here on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We'll have Graham Hall, second portion of today's program. He's going to tell us about all the recruiting visits and dinners and dancing and all that stuff that they've been having going on here.
They had a great one. Had a grill this weekend. I understand there are 3 5-stars over at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill this weekend. So
yeah, they go there on Saturday nights when they're in town. My man Matt here.
It was a recruiting trip invitation.
Right. Matt says he's a graduate of Belhaven. Don't forget they're the national champs in soccer. I'm telling you, there's so many damn colleges in that dang small state. I really want somebody to do that research for me because I don't really want to do it. All right, buddy, we got a text here on the Titan More text line for you. It says, this is from Jimmy. He says, how many games does Billy Napier have to win this year? And if he doesn't hit that mark, do you think they make a change?
No, unless he wins 2. I think he's safe even if he only wins 5 or 6. They're going to go with 1 more year. Vance and I talked about last time on the show. They can't keep changing coaches. Plus, if they do, they lose their quarterback. DJ Lagway goes if Billy goes. So they aren't going to go let him fire him. And plus, they're going to have a decent year. Are they going to win 6 or 7? Maybe more. Who knows? I think you'll see more and more trendy picks. People saying, well, don't forget about Florida. Cole Kubalik talked about him yesterday. Said, hey, Florida's no 5-win team, man, believe me. So people who know football begin to realize that Billy Napier, and Billy's telling people privately, I know for a fact, this could be a really good team. He thinks this could be one of the best teams he's ever been around. That's just what's coming out. So, no, I don't think Billy's in danger. He'd have to be, caught with his hand in a cookie jar, or go win us to get fired probably. So he's safe. He'll be okay this year. And not only that, who are you going to hire? Who are you going to hire? Who are you going to go get that's better right now? Tell me that. So it's going to be an interesting league. And Shane, with this many people competing for the playoffs now, going to be to get into the playoffs, it's going to be dog eat dog. And there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to have to stand up to physically to this new league, which is really tough. There are no easy outs this year in SEC football.
Another text here on the Titan MR text line. Hang on, that was too long to read. I'll come back to that one.
Shane, how about having 4 SEC teams and 4 ACC teams in the College World Series? How about that?
Yeah, that's why I said they should be playing this in Atlanta or Nashville.
Could they? Yeah, that's right. Could they have? Don't they have? Well, we have this in basketball where we have the leagues play against each other for 1 weekend.
Yes, the ACC SEC big challenge.
Ought to have that in baseball.
Well, we're having it this week in Omaha. We're having to travel a long ways. The fans are having to travel a long ways. Yeah. I saw a thing. I think it was some Tennessee fans complaining like their airfare from Tennessee to Omaha was like $900. And, the hotels are like $400 a night. Just saying, how can anybody afford to go out there?
And they gouge you. They got it. It's a great time for the state of Nebraska. How about the new guy they got from Miami as a baseball player?
Yeah, they got the kid from Miami. He was a
Blake
freshman
Sears.
All-American. They got a
Yeah,
kid from Texas Tech and a kid from JU
yeah,
so far.
yeah. They're rocking it, aren't they?
But as I mentioned on your program last night, buddy, the Gator fans are loving that. But the Gator fans raise hell and blame the coach when a player leaves and goes somewhere else.
Don't you love them? These are your people. These are your
Yeah.
people. This is why they're fans.
Yeah. We can't have everybody, people. All right. This text here on the Titan No More text line. This is from Roger. Roger says, "Hey guys, I got my Phil Steele magazine online.
Yeah.
I saw where he had the Gators ranked 19th. Y'all's thoughts?"
Yeah, I heard that he was going to have a rank. I didn't know it'd be. I thought it'd be higher than that. I
You
can
did?
understand. I can understand that. I mean, you take a shot. If you're going to take a shot on a team that's kind of outside the spotlight, and a team that might slip in the back door, I can see why you pick Florida, especially if you know what's going on. I will say Phil Steele seems to get his pretty good sources about the personnel. So somebody's talking to somebody about this team. They're starting to bubble up a little bit, and the people are getting excited about it. And I mean, look, they sure got a lot of talent. Do they have enough talent? Is it deep enough? I don't know. But the bottom line is, I can see that. Yes, I can see that happening. I think Florida could be a top 25 team, maybe just 24th, 25th, and they could win 7, 8 games. But I'm not ready to make that pick yet.
All right. So 31M Bird did the research for me. He says in the state of Florida, there's 40 public colleges, and in Mississippi, there's 24. I wonder how that per capita, how that breaks down. But yeah, it seems like there's a ton of colleges.
The difference
And
is that 20 of them in Mississippi have football teams.
yeah, every one of them play football in Mississippi,
Right.
and not that many of them play football in
Exactly.
Florida. So um, Reggie says he heard the preseason ranking will have UF at 20th. I'm not sure about what ranking that is, but look, I think the team it's clearly the best team he's had. I think they're deeper. I think they brought in some quality players to help the defense side of the ball. I don't even care about the offense. I don't even pay attention to the offense. I think because if we don't play defense, we're not going to win. Somebody on here says they're hoping for 9 wins. If you win 9 games this year, you're in the playoffs.
Hall of Fame.
We will be if we go 9-3, we will make the
Why wouldn't you? With that many teams in there, I mean, why wouldn't you? Right? There'll be what? There's got to be 3 teams in there for SEC, 4 maybe. What do you think?
I think you'll get at least 4 in, depending on how the season goes. It could be the SEC Big Ten Challenge in football too.
Yeah, that's right. That is true. Do you see the All SEC preseason? I think it was Athlon, not a single Gator on it, naturally offensive side. But there is a name on there the Gators will know. Trevor Etienne is the running back, one of the 2 running backs.
Yeah, he's going to have to prove that to me to be an All-American. Or is that All SEC?
Mm-hmm.
What was it, buddy?
What?
The list you just gave, was it preseason All SEC or All American?
Free SEC.
Oh,
Texas, Alabama, by the way. Texas. There's no Oklahoma in there. No players.
Barone 71 on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says Mississippi aims like the Polynesian Islands. The percentage of college football players produced compared to the overall population is crazy. Yeah, there for a long time, and I don't know if it still is, but for every year that I was in the National Football League, the state of Mississippi produced more NFL players per capita than any other state. I don't know if that's still the case. We had a good discussion on the Magnolia State today. All right, buddy, who you got on your program tonight?
Going to have our usual lineup. David Whitley will join us. He's always good. By the way, congratulations, David, winning a national award as a columnist. He's very good, as you know. And then Rob Brown from SEC Sidelines. And then Coach Lauren Meadows will join us tonight. So it should be a good discussion, but having good crowds. Been a good time to be talking Gator sports. So join us tonight at 9:00 Eastern time.
All right, buddy. Go get your crow and scramble it in your eggs.
I've already eaten it. I don't have to eat it. I only have to eat it once. I don't have to eat it every day.
Yeah.
So.
All right, buddy. Have a good day. That's Buddy Martin. Join us on the Titan No More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out. We'll come back. And as many people said here, if Graham Hall was playing for Sully, he'd make him cut his hair. We'll talk to Graham Hall here in just a minute. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union.
Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise.
Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Our gridiron sponsors are UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okito America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker Sporting Goods. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. We're going to go to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We're joined by one of the best in the business, Graham Hall, who if he played for Sully would make him cut his hair.
That's fair. I think that's worth playing for Sully for. Whatever he wants, right?
Yep. All right. Before we jump into it, we got a text on the Titan MR text line from Rankin. Rankin says, Mississippi State has a bigger enrollment and has just as many fans as Ole Miss. They just aren't in your face as much. Mississippi State fans like to hunt. Ole Miss fans like to dress up. That's pretty true. Pretty true. Thanks for the text. All right. Let's first of all, just your thoughts before we jump into football recruiting stuff. Man, what a year for baseball, huh?
Yeah, I think that we maybe overreacted with that 6-weekend SEC losing streak and the way that they were with some midweek contests. I mean, they were concerning, let's be honest, because when you dug into those, how Florida had fared on the mound at times, the few cold streaks at the plate, they were certainly concerning. And let's be honest, expectations are really, really high here. I think that's what it all comes down to. And I had said before that Florida was probably going into the postseason with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. You saw a lot of the national media out there was questioning why they were even getting in. But Florida fans could look back at that number one strength of schedule. They knew they have absolute talent in obviously Jack, Colby, Cade, you name it. And this is a team that has, I had someone tell me a little bit ago that, Kevin O'Sullivan is the Nick Saban of college baseball coaches right now. So I think that anytime you get into the postseason, you can't write that team off whatsoever. And I think Florida fans have a little bit of a reason to gloat right now, because obviously going to Omaha incredible run by Kevin O'Sullivan, the amount of times that he's got that team to the College World Series, pretty unprecedented in my mind, especially here in this modern era right now. The big shout out, though, that I got to give I've said time and time again, if it ain't broke, but Ashton Wilson, what he has done in the last 2 months, not even 2 months, has been incredible. I mean, this is a guy who was holding a clipboard for much of the season, charting pitches, and now he is just an absolute stud. It kind of makes you wonder why he wasn't in the lineup earlier. I know that that's easy to say in retrospect, but this is a guy that has been absolutely monumental for Florida since the postseason began and towards the end of SEC play. And I really think it speaks to maybe something that was a question mark about Kevin O'Sullivan, how he evaluates the transfer portal, because some people have criticized him for being a little bit slow to adapt to going after guys in the portal. But I think he's proven this year and even certainly last year that he has done a really, really good job at getting guys to come here who had gone somewhere else to play college ball initially.
All right, let's switch gears to football. We got a text here real quick. Let's get to that, and then we'll talk about the recruiting visits and dinners and all the stuff that has been going on. This is from Brett and Jax. He says, Graham, any word on Aaron Childs? I think besides LJ, this guy is going to be a big difference maker.
Well, I'm very, very high on Aaron Childs. I think I said it on here a couple of weeks ago that Florida was making a concerted effort to make it so that Aaron Childs wouldn't feel behind when he got on campus. Austin Armstrong was keeping him in the loop. Ron Roberts started reaching out to him towards the end of spring camp. This is a guy that, there's an opportunity there. I know that you look at Shamar James and Grayson Howard and how those two are perceived, in my opinion, to be the duo that's going to start the season for Florida. Then you got Derek Wingo as well. I think that Aaron Childs, I don't want to make a prediction over him versus Miles Graham right now, but I do think that he has a very, very high ceiling. And I think you're going to see both those guys this year. But, this is kind of a situation where no news is good news, because right now these guys are just in the building, grinding, working on their physical development. That's going to be a huge key for Childs for the next month and a half, is that he's going to have to make sure that he gets a little bit caught up with the strength training program that's going on right now, as well as learning the playbook. And if he does that, I do think he's going to be a guy who you're going to see on the field this year in fall.
All right, let's talk about these visits they've had. I wasn't even aware that it's legal, or I know the rules have changed. So it's almost like the recruiting visits, after the season's over, because they're doing these big dinners at Spurrier's, things of that nature. Just talk about what they've been doing, how many more they have, and some of the really good players they've had on campus.
Yeah, May 31st was when programs were allowed to start having prospects back on campus for official visits. It really is when the focus turned from the transfer portal to evaluating and getting guys on campus at the high school level. And each one of these weekends, going back to May 31st to this previous weekend here, Florida has had double-digit guys on campus. Between those 2 weekends, they've hosted 27 players. And when it all is said and done, they'll probably have hosted 40. They're not going to use, to my knowledge, obviously some things could change. They're not going to use the final weekend in June as an official visit weekend. That's a little bit of another change of the schedule, is that is when Friday Night Lights is going to happen this year. And Friday Night Lights is going to be a little bit different of an event this year. If you're used to the one from, years old, this is going to be a 7v7 tournament where you're going to have a lot of the top players on campus competing with their teams, and give Florida a chance to really, see them work out in a competitive setting, get a look at the player and get a look at the person, how they fare when they're going against competition. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a different event here at the end of June. But as for this previous weekend, this was kind of one where Florida was trying to make up a lot of ground with a lot of guys. You had Caleb Cunningham, a Mississippi wide receiver, who some people think it's going to be hard for him to get out of the state, but Auburn has certainly pushed as well. And Florida has tried to make up some ground. I mean, I think Florida views him as one of their top targets at wideout. We'll see how things play out for him, but certainly he has a lot of suitors. Cortez Mills, it looks like Miami is the team to beat right now for him. I know that's never something that Florida fans want to hear, but this is a guy who certainly has interest in Florida, and he was back on campus this weekend as well. John Mills, no relation, made the trip, his third trip from the West Coast over here, an offensive lineman that Florida has really, really liked, even though, you look at the 3-star ranking, but look at his offer list. I mean, this is someone who's is going to go to a Power 5 program, and he certainly has interest in Florida. But I do think, like I said, there's a little bit of ground to make up there, but you have got him on campus multiple times. You look at the rest of these guys, Alesh, the tight end, I'm not going to be able to go over every single one right now. We'll go for another hour. If you want to read recaps on every single one, this is when I got to plug it. Blake Alderman and Donovan Kaiser, our intern, has done a fantastic job catching up with every single player who was on campus this past weekend. You can hear quotes, read from every single one of those guys over at Swamp 247. Check all their information out. But really quick, I want to preview this next weekend for sure, because I do think it's going to be a little bit more of a monumental one for Florida, because there are some players that Florida is certainly in the mix for. Malik Autry, who has said it's going to be neck and neck between him and Auburn. He's going to be taking an official visit this weekend to Florida. Tavion Wallace, who's one of Florida's top targets, is going to be here on campus as well. And Waltez Clark, who is committed to Florida at running back. He has been at UCF recently. You got to make sure that you lock him in. So it's definitely a big weekend. Dice as well is going to be here on campus. It's definitely a big weekend coming up for that, the 7v7 tournament at the end of the month. And like you mentioned, Shane, this is a little bit, new territory for a lot of people who followed recruiting, because you now have this summer official visit schedule. And that's part of the reason why players are no longer held to just 5 official visits. They can take one to as many schools as they would like. They can't take multiple unless there's a coaching change. And so this is when you kind of figure out who you want to see here in summer, guys who may be looking to lock it down before fall, who you have a good chance with, and you got to plan those out accordingly. And that's what this summer, this month of June is for.
Live a healthier lifestyle with our bold, flavorful smoothies, our amazing food. Tropical smoothie. When you eat better, you feel better. We got Graham Hall from 24/7 Sports here on the Titanmore Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Town. Speaking of Blake, I was texting Blake, because this is what he does. It's football recruiting. And he's like, hey, man, just give me a couple more weeks because I'm so busy. I was going to read the text. He goes, it's been tough. I'm trying to catch up on each day because I'm stalking visitors every day.
That's what it's like. You got to bring a camera. You got to sit outside with something to do, because you could be out there for a couple hours. You just got to hope it doesn't rain. I was telling him a couple weeks ago, man, you got to invest in a good rain jacket, because we can't be getting rained on out there. No one wants to be standing out there for hours. And, he does a really, really great job, because he's also, making the trip up multiple times a week, driving 2.5 hours up from Central Florida to come up and cover these visits, and then coming back in one day. He's an absolute trooper. Yeah. If you're a Florida fan, you're not following him, you absolutely should be.
Yeah. Andy's question on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law, says, Graham, what are the chances the Gators land wide receiver Nashawn Montgomery out of Miami Central?
That's one that's going to, tough to pull a guy out of Miami, right? I mean, Florida has done pretty much everything they can, to my knowledge, and they have trended in the right direction for him. But I think this is one where he could want to see how the season plays out, right? I do think that him, and along with several other targets who are considering, like Cortez, who are considering Miami and Florida, they're going to take an unofficial visit more than likely back to Gainesville for that Florida-Miami battle, and really get a sense of both programs, so they can see how they interact, see how the teams do, and see how the competitiveness plays out. That's not really saying that I have any inside knowledge on how his recruitment goes, but that just tends to how these things shake out a little bit. If you know 2 teams who are in the mix, and you're looking to see how they're going to do when the season arrives, and you want to make a decision here, you kind of want to see how they fare on the field, right? So I do think Florida's in a good place. Still some ground, I think, to make up. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is someone who does zero in on Florida in the next couple of months. I do think he's going to make a final decision when the season arrives. But an early commitment, I don't think, is entirely out of the question. And he's far from the only one who may want to lock things up before his senior season. We hear that time and time again. I wouldn't be surprised by that whatsoever.
Text on the Titanmore text line, Joshua in Savannah, Georgia says, Graham, what portal guy, in your opinion, that we picked up will have the biggest impact this year?
That's a good question. I do think there are multiple candidates. I think that obviously the offensive line, how important that is. Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, Devin Manuel, either one of those guys, I think the former more than likely is going to end up starting at right tackle for Florida. And that's a position where they need to certainly improve. They moved Damian George inside to right guard. And I do think that, getting better protection along the offensive line is going to be massive. I also think Joey Slackman is someone who maybe people are a little bit lower on than I think they should be. I mean, yeah, his production was in the Ivy League at Penn, and, those grades aren't going to translate whatsoever to how he did against that lesser competition. But this is someone who's a proven competitor. He's got a great motor. He's a great leader. That's one of those intangibles that for this young program still looking to kind of get over the hill of a rebuild, that can go a long way off the field as well. Those are some obvious candidates. And obviously I got to mention the secondary. I mean, the third level of the defense has been a huge issue for Florida for a couple years now. If you can get, Asa Turner, DJ Douglas, potentially Triquez Bridges, any of those guys to go along with Jordan Castell and limit those insane explosive plays that Florida was giving up last season, that is an absolute win in my mind. And that shows that you use the portal wisely at a position of need. And Florida has to also make sure that Castell continues to come along. You can't just play those experienced guys in my mind, because you can't rely solely year to year off of turnover. So I do think making sure that you have some talent there in the third level. And then those guys I mentioned along the offensive line, that's who I would say are some of the early candidates. And, let me not leave out Elijah Badger. He's going to, I think, start immediately for Florida here. A lot of proven production, had 70 receptions in 2022 at Arizona State. I think him and Eugene Wilson, along with, Chimere Dike, give Florida a whole contingent of proven wide receivers heading into the season for Graham Mertz. So I do think that the portal players, in short, will be impactful for Florida. And I think any one of those guys I just mentioned could end up being the biggest addition for Florida.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. My stance is for us to have a good year or a great year, it's all about defense. And, you mentioned Slackman, you got Pup Howard coming in, you got Asa Turner, DJ Douglas, and Bridges. Those are guys that have played a lot of football at a high level that I think can help us keep the ball in front of us and tackle people. And if you do that, you give yourself a chance. I wanted to ask you from an offensive line standpoint, because I'm sure you hear people complaining about the line. Obviously, it wasn't great last year at times. But I saw or read, I think Pro Football Focus does a great job somehow grading players. I don't know how they do it. But they had the Gators, the 10th best offensive line in America. Did I read that correctly?
Yep. I think that, a lot of that is kind of like Slackman as well. How well are some of those guys going to translate? Because that's including, Crenshaw Dixon, who, San Diego State, they didn't play SEC level competition. Devin Manuel had some limited snaps as well. Austin Barber was in the mix there as well. He graded out, I think, a little bit worse than he's capable of doing. And PFF is also very, very high on Jake Slaughter. I know that maybe Florida fans really didn't fully appreciate how good Jake Slaughter was in such a short amount of time. I mean, he had his growing pains early when he was thrust into action, but he really improved as the season went on. And PFF is very, very high on him. It ranks him as one of the top 10 interior offensive linemen in the entire nation. So you got those three tackles who they rate as three of the highest graded returning tackles in the SEC, along with a top 10 interior offensive lineman. And PFF is certainly very, very high on this offensive line. I think that, the one that stands out to me are the guard spots. How good is Florida going to be at the guard position? You have Najee Harris, who had a very impressive freshman year, needs to continue to capitalize on that, take a step forward, but a guy with a ton of potential. And then the other, I think, massive question is Damian George Jr. He actually was someone who wants to play right guard. He sees himself as a guard rather than as a tackle. He thinks his skill set is better suited to, playing guys who are a little bit bigger, but have a little bit, less speed in the interior. I do think that he believes that with the weight he's lost, how much more agile he's gotten, that he's going to be more well-suited towards winning his individual matchups at a higher rate. And if he can take a step forward, Najee Harris takes a step forward, and those grades translate on the outside at tackle, along with Jake Slaughter continuing to take a step forward, you're going to have a much, much better offensive line. And that is obviously, I agree with you that defense is the key for Florida, but you can't be letting Graham Mertz get sacked 39 times again this season. As high as we are on DJ Lagway, and I do think Clay Millen is capable as well, you need to keep Graham Mertz healthy for this team to have a chance this year to win all those, brutal gauntlet of a games, and making sure that you're not letting him take contact at a high rate. It wasn't just 39 sacks, as people know. He was taking pressure time and time again, and the offensive line is going to need to, give him a cleaner pocket, more time to throw for Florida to take the step forward that everyone's hoping that they take.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Graham, I got three guys here, and I know you talk to a lot of the players or you hear a lot of stuff, but Marcus Burke, Aiden Mizell, and Andy Jean. Are these guys are what are you hearing about? I mean, because I think all three of them are extremely talented. Do you see them having a big part of the offense this year or kind of get lost? We know Mizell can run. We know Burke's a big, tall, long guy that can run, and Andy Jean can fly. I just think, I mean, were they overrated coming out of high school? What are your thoughts?
I do think it kind of comes back to what I was saying about the 7v7 tournament. You're often going to miss more on the person rather than the player. And I do think with Marcus Burke, that was something that I think you can say about him, not to, admonish him or drag him down in any way. But, this is someone that, 2 years ago was almost being pushed off the team here. And it wasn't because of his lack of talent. It was because what he was doing off the field. He needed to become a little bit more mature. And that has happened in the last 18 months. So I do think that if he continues to progress, his talent is going to lead him to being a factor this season in the offense. I mean, he proved to be a deep threat during spring camp. It's going to be, I think, a question of opportunities for him because you add Badger, you got Eugene Wilson, DK and Mertz have an established rapport. You have Khalil Jackson as well. Jaquavion Frazier's is right there too in the conversation. I mean, that's five guys right there who may be getting on the field at a higher rate than Marcus Burke. And then the other two that you mentioned are going to continue to compete as well. I think that Burke has an opportunity, but I think that it may be a little bit less consistent production and more just contributing in spurts. And if you can give him a couple of downfield opportunities a game, Billy Gonzalez loves to say, if you get 8 20-yard receptions, you're going to more than likely win that game. And Marcus Burke can go out there and get two for you. And that is absolutely beneficial production from him. The other two, I think, are a little bit bigger question marks. I think Andy Jean has a little bit of ground to make up. He's been dealing with those injuries time and time again, missed a lot of his freshman season, missed a majority of spring camp. If he's fully healthy and is doing everything he can to take care of his body, this is someone who his competitiveness and his maturity is not in question in my mind. It's going to be an opportunity question for him. How much is he going to be able to be on the field? If he's on the field, I'm confident in him, but I do think that he's a little bit farther on the depth chart than obviously he would like to be. Fans would like him to be, and certainly the program would like him to be, but that's what happens when you have injuries. I think with Aiden Mizell, he has a chance to I think, be a little bit of a surprise for Florida this season. I also would not be surprised to see him contribute on kickoff return for Florida. I mean, his dynamic speed, I know that the kickoff game is not what it was a decade ago, but if he can give you any form of production in the open field and give you better field position, that is a win in my mind. And I think that he will find a way to be on the field because he can take the top off of defense and he can make opportunities happen for other guys. I think that if I had to guess who was going to have the most impactful year of those three, I'd rank them Burke, Mizell, and Jean.
All right. Great stuff as always, my man. Let everybody know how they can follow you on Twitter. Any specials or what do people need to do to sign up to follow Graham Hall?
You can follow me on X at Graham Hall. But right now, I encourage you to follow Blake Alderman and Jacob Rudner. They're doing the heavy lifting right now. Jacob is heading out to Omaha to cover Florida baseball in the College World Series. Florida plays Saturday against Texas A&M, a team that they took 2 out of 3 from earlier in the season. So make sure you follow him at Jacob Rudner. As we mentioned, Blake Alderman is absolutely grinding right now, covering recruiting for the next month. Hopefully he gets a minute to catch his breath here at the end of the month. Make sure you follow him. And if you're looking to join Swamp 247 and talk to all of us, we're running a 60% off promo right now on an annual membership. That's the best deal we're going to do all year long. So if you have any questions about it, reach out to me on X at Graham Hall. Find me on Swamp 247. And I'm hoping to be back pretty soon and talk all things Gators with you, my man.
All right. That's Graham Hall. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tip, one of the best in business. Appreciate your time, Graham.
Always my pleasure. Y'all take care out there.
Yeah. Comfort Tip Heating and Air is looking for enthusiastic, motivated comfort specialists to join our team. $1,000 sign-on bonus after 90 days. Awesome benefits. And the opportunity to grow with a winning team. Apply today at comforttemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Again, I want to thank Buddy and Graham for joining us on the Titan More Hotline. Don't forget, tomorrow is Wednesday. We'll have JC. We're going to have Mike Pearson former first-round draft pick from the Gators to the Jaguars, will be joining us on the program. He lives down in the Tampa area now. And JC and I will do our Peachland Dental U.S. Open picks tomorrow. Have a great day, folks. Take care.